Oh my goodness. I am staying at a friend's place, a client's place here in Ohio. Marysville, Ohio, I think. Just a beautiful place. You know, a beautiful place. Alan's got a beautiful home, beautiful family. He's went away camping and asked me to house sit. Maybe not a good idea, I don't know. But just lives in a gorgeous place. You know, the type of place where you're house sitting, you're like, I don't even want to use the bathroom. I think I can hold it until I get to like Dunkin' Donuts or a place to eat supper. That kind of nice place. Just a beautiful home. I sat outside in the deck and I reviewed all the horses. Changed all the, I think I got all the stables right now. There's a number of horses that are, you know, before we had the smaller burns section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 smaller trainers right now with a multitude of horses. You know, to be honest, over the next week, Tim Twaddle would be big enough to have his own stable here. I know that Forged and Fire and I'll Play It Alone are they're really pushing their luck, and you know, I'm really hoping for good races for them this week. Drew the outside with I'll Play It Alone, but I'll get a feel for where he's at right now. You know, I get off the phone today, had a great conversation with a client, and she was Heather always calls, and we talk about a number of things, and you know, her concern was how I had just said I was going to virtually discard Excellent Nation because he couldn't do, and you know, the stable isn't just built on a return on investment. And I said, well, you're right. If we were built solely on a return on investment, it would be a failed business model for sure. But that's horse racing, right? And unfortunately, it's very difficult to make a turn of profit in this industry. Having said that, I have to be cognitive of what's going on. When I look at Excellent Nation, in the past, and I said this last week in a video, in the past, you would be able to find classes for all sorts of horses. Horse like Enduring Strength, no problem. Can't do in the grassroots, fine, we'll race him in Georgian or London or Grand River or Flamborough, Sarnia, somewhere, Kawartha. We'd be able to find a race for him where he'd do. He'd go on the track as a legitimate 2 or 3 to 1 horse. Can't find those anymore. Can't find those classes anymore, and it makes it very difficult for me to do my job. When I look at Excellent Nation, fairly a soundly beaten third. Now, if that horse doesn't come a half in 55-4 and just scorch us, you know, I'm second, right? I control the race. The guy behind me probably doesn't beat me, and I'm second. But we're going for 5,600. He's out of that class now. Not the horse that won it. Excellent Nation is out of that class now. So where's that class lead to? Where's he go to next? Surely I have to race against that thing that just obliterated us. So we're not really racing for 5,600. We're racing for 2,800, maybe. We have fairs coming up. Now, in fairness, a number of people said, hey, Anthony, pump your brakes on Excellent Nation, Rose Run Valiant, Susie K. These are horses that can do in the fairs. And in fairness, they're going to race for as much money as they would have raced in the condition claimer. So if you don't mind holding on till July 20th, when we can start getting to the fairs again, as Kirby and Jason have told me, that's when our next availability is. Then we can race them in the fairs. It just, there's not going to be a lot of revenue coming in from those 3 horses. I mean, Rose Run Valiant is still an enigma to me. If he doesn't get out of gear and grab that bell boot the other day, he's third, trots in 59. Not bad. Probably could find a better class for him too. Susie K was definitely 6th. This is the optimism. This is the optimistic Anthony McDonald speaking now. Susie K was 6th, or 7th, or 8th. Or I could have rolled a bowling ball by her in the last turn. She was going so slow. Find out after she got the same virus at Compass Rose DC, and spend that money ahead. Legs are stocked up, not eating good, just look sick because they are sick. So spend that money in Compass Rose DC are showing signs of coming around now. Their legs are coming down. That's viral. Their legs are coming down now. They're looking a little more bright, picking up their feed. And we can drop those horses down in the Buckeye, but where's that leave poor Susie? She's not a Buckeye horse. She's a fair horse, yeah. Got to get to a fair. So as it stands right now, I'm going to leave those 3 on a sale list because we're not doing anything just yet with them. And I'm happy to, and happy that Heather and other people have emailed me and called me to give me their 2 cents. This is important. You know, this isn't a democracy. I'm not going to take my lead from other people, but I do need to hear from other people. I'd be uninformed uninformed if I wasn't. I want to hear from everybody and tell me, hey, Excellent Nation, why don't you wait and race him in the fair? We can do that, maybe. Let's see how he races next week. Same with Valiant, same with Susie K. They're close. They're on the bubble right now and have been for a while. And I suppose so's Forge and Fire, and I'll Play It Alone. That story will come to conclusion of some sort this week. If I'll Play It Alone doesn't race well, I know he drew the outside, so we're not looking for a trip to the winner's circle. But if he doesn't race well, it's going to be hard for me to make an argument to keep him. Same goes for Forge and Fire. So a lot of horses on the bubble here. We have some 2-year-olds also. The Fat Cobra, Surreal Love, are also on the bubble. Rito Sunshine went up for sale today on Standardbred Canada. I didn't want to wait for that sale in a week or so for those horses, for that horse in particular. He's missing out on races that other people could be taking advantage of. Probably should have had him up for sale the other day when he didn't get in the Prospect Series. I should have had this horse up for sale then. That was a missed couple of 48 hours for me, and that could play a role. So he's up on Standardbred Canada soon, if not now. Well, in real time. He's definitely up now when you're listening to this. Maintenance Man, again, tough to find a class for him in Illinois. Angie said they're opening up the 10 claimer, 15 or 12 for now when it's a 50. Just get me to the winner's circle with this guy. And it's not that we're demanding victories. We just need a shot to win, right? When you go on the track and you're a long shot, you know you can't win, and you get the shit beat out of you, that's on me. We're not putting the horses in the right class. You know, and the opposite side of that, look at Stonebridge Simba. Found a good class for him, got his feet under control, got him comfortable. Aaron drove him well. It was kind of a lucky drive. Not Aaron wins 1,000 races a year, so even the lucky drives are good drives. Kind of get stuff backed up, and then Simba come with authority down the lane, and you know he smelt blood in the water, and he looked the best he's ever looked in his life because we had him in where he could do. We have to be able to stop handicapping ourselves when we go on the track. We're not going to win all the races. We might not win a lot of races, but we shouldn't lose the races all the time that we lose. We need to be in a better position. It has to start with recognizing horses that simply can't find classes to win. Enduring Strength, a perfect example. That horse would have been a good horse for us even a year ago, 2 years ago. But right now in real time, I can't find a class to win with Enduring Strength. We'll get a flat line on him next week, but it's very difficult for me to endorse horses to keep when I can't tell you where I could win with them. If I can't tell you where I can win with your horse next week, that's a problem. And it's not a problem for the horse. It's not a problem for you or me. It is, but it isn't. It's not our fault. It's not your fault. It's not the horse's fault. It's just a victim of circumstances. So a number of horses are looking at potentially going into a sale only because I can't find a spot to win with them. And I can't ask you guys to lose money every month for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months until we happen to find out, you know, is the horse going to mature and get better? Is the horse going to find a better class? Oh, we can race him here, we can race him there. As of right now, today, I can't find a class for a horse like Enduring Strength to win. So that leaves us in a tough spot. Leaves him in a tough spot. It's unfair to him, but maybe he'll go to a smaller place that you know he can excel at. One of our clients believes he'll do better in a smaller operation. We'll see. I believe we probably will see. So as you know, I am in Ohio. Biggest news of the week, many of you didn't know, some of you do. Lincoln Hanover was sold. He's going to Norway. He's not going to race a 2-year-old, apparently, from what I've been told. And I see he's not entered in the Sire Stakes in New York. Ready to go. We were ready to race him if the deal fell through. We sold him for a fair amount of money. Pretty good chunk of change. And he's going to Norway. So Lincoln Hanover is no longer with us. I guess if you're the people out there counting your money and saying, you know, it's about time you turn some profit with some horses, then yeah, it's a good story. You know, for the people that wanted to see Lincoln Hanover race this year, it's kind of a crummy story. But you know what? You guys have to understand the thin line that I have to walk. I preach entertainment. I preach, you know, an experience that's unmatched in society, which it is. But at the same time, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. And if somebody's going to pay us a fairly substantial amount of money for an unproven 2-year-old trotter, and the biggest unknown is who are we racing against? This isn't a horse we've raced 3 or 4 times, and we can gauge this one's a better one in the division, or geez, I hope I missed this one. We don't know what's out there. There's just too many unknowns that come with Lincoln Hanover for us not to sell, so we did. So Lincoln Hanover is sold, and he'll be heading to Norway. You know, I'm down here. I get that news, so that's good, I guess. Good news. The horses raced well on the weekend. We'll talk about them in a minute. I couldn't be happier. I know we're all sitting. We went to the bar to have a drink, but the bar was closed. Closed at 11. We went into the casino because it's open here. We went into the casino and had a couple of drinks. We did have some clients from around the general area that had come out to see the horses race. And we were talking, 3/3, 2/4. I had a catch drive. It's a bit like a white elephant now. I had a catch drive that night too. Had horses race in Ontario. Warwie Welcome was second. Just got a call from Mario. He got her blood back. She was sick. A little bit sick. Her white count was 11.2. The vet put her on some antibiotics. She'll be fine for next weekend. But I think we all thought maybe she was a little flat. I think we know why now. So Warwie Welcome is on antibiotics and fluids. She'll be fine for next weekend. I'm certain of that. No free lunch. Yeah, we thought we had the killer. Instead, we have maybe a killer, but certainly not the same as Stonebridge Duel or whatever the hell his name is. Wow, that thing looked like a freak. 51-4, 26-4 in the end of it with the earplugs in. Hey, what do you want me to say? Our Sunshine Beach homebred can't pace 51 just yet. Sorry. 53-3, 28 flat on the end of it. Pretty good mile for no free lunch. Certainly nothing to sneeze at. What we may do is sneak those flip-flops off of him for his next start. Put something on him. See if we can milk a second or so out of him, yet keep him sound. I think the flip-flops help, but again, you're always on that edge. Can we change equipment just a little bit to get a little more out of him? And is there a flip side to that? That extra speed, does that come with a caveat that he might get a little sore from those shoes? So that's something that I've proposed to Harry and James. They'll work it out. This is a time of year where everything is untethered, right? I'm really relying on Harry, Kevin, Jason, Mario to keep everything as tight as they can because it is all over the place. Horses that need to be entered for stake races, horses that need to be trained at certain times. I didn't get a chance to talk to Harry yet. He was supposed to train Northern Blizzard on Saturday, stiff mile. I don't know how he did, so I'm interested to hear from him. He came out of that mile good. The first mile he had a week off, which I think helped him. They trained him up Wednesday. Supposed to train back Saturday, maybe Monday. So I want to hear from Harry to see what went on with him. We're leaving Scioto yesterday to talk about Roy Hill. Roy Hill raced good also. We'll talk about him later on. But here's a horse that I said he paced 54 in a bit. Track was muddy. It poured rain for 3 races heading into Roy Hill's race. Snapped off the gate. He did everything right. He raced his heart out. He did everything right. If I stayed in the middle of the track, it was soupier down on the inside in hindsight. If I stayed in the middle of the track, I think I hang on for 5th. He raced well. 56-1 in the mud. Last quarter, 28 in a piece. If the gentleman that was driving the 6 doesn't leave out, or if he gets in behind me and I can follow Brett, I don't win, but I think I'm 3rd. I think the same horse wins, the same horse is 2nd, and I'm 3rd. But Roy Hill raced well. I think we have an opportunity to put some horses into the Buckeye, maybe to do some damage in the next start. I think it would be unfair to Roy Hill to race him in the Sire Stakes and stretch him again. Let's put him in where he's supposed to win. Now, for those of you who don't like me driving the horses, and quietly I'm sure there's some of you out there that don't, maybe there's a lot of you, I have days 12 to the 16th, so Momo, Roy Hill, Well and Down, those types of horses will all be raced. I assume Ronnie Wren's been talking to Jason. I talked to Ronnie yesterday. He's a great driver, does a great job. Him or Aaron will easily fill in, quite easily fill in. And that's great for here. So we're on our way back to Alan's place, and they stretched the border closure out to the end of August. That's frustrating, but I understand why. When I arrive down here and people are walking around, and they're diligent, but there's some people that aren't. I went to the supermarket for a minute, and there's maybe 80% of the people in there have masks. But the group that doesn't have masks are kind of looking at you like you're funny. And, until we find a vaccine for this thing, I really believe that you just have to be diligent. Just be a little more careful. And, we're on our way home, and here's a carnival in the middle of a mall parking lot. Ferris wheel, scrambler, you name it. I'm saying to myself, I look over at Alan, I said, are you kidding me? You wonder why the border's closed. What are you doing? It's frustrating to me. Very, very frustrating to me to see that. I mean, and the people are so nice down here. I told a story. I went in, my car was dead. My battery went dead. I told you guys this the other day, maybe. It did this one other day, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe Ollie left a light on or something, but I knew he didn't. I go to start my car at Northfield, and it's dead. Now, I did get it fired up, and I go to the auto parts store. And the guy says, well, you have a Malibu Premier. I'm really not supposed to change the battery because it's got fuses on it. My boss doesn't want me to. Fair ball. I get it, man. But I'm Canadian. I don't give a shit. Just change it. If the kind of thing blows up, fine. I can't change it. So he said, let me talk to my manager. Guy walks over. He was parked in the parking lot. He said, excuse me. He said, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. If that young man can't change that battery, I have the tools and I can do it in 5 minutes right here in the parking lot. I said, are you serious? He said, yep, no problem at all. Now, the young man talked to his manager and she said, no problem, go ahead. I said, if I need to sign a waiver or something, I will, but I can't change it. It needs changed. It's not going to change itself. So the young man went and changed it. But here's a total stranger. You want to know why I love coming to Ohio? It reminds me of home. I always say that. I love Ontario. I've lived in Ontario for decades. I love Ontario. But coming to Ohio, it just feels like such a small town. Here's a guy that never saw me in his life. Overheard a conversation where somebody needed a battery change. The guy was maybe not going to be able to do it. Walked over, and it's hot. It's hotter than the devil's armpit down here. 99 degrees Fahrenheit. I literally had to change it back over to Canadian because I couldn't compute it. 37 Celsius in this driveway right here. Can you imagine this poor bugger? Just come up and offer to change a battery in the heat. Had to take 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, I don't know, in the heat to a total stranger. It just, and people, it's not to say people aren't like that in Ontario. They are. It's just, to see people do it reminds me of home. I'll tell you a little story. When I went home, first time I went home for Old Home Week, I was dating a French girl. This is way back when I was a kid. I was 20 years old. And we go home and driving into the racetrack. I remember I was so excited because it was like my first drive's Old Home Week. I was so pumped to get a flat tire on the rental car. Now, I'll be honest. You guys know me well enough. I can barely make toast. I can't change a tire. You put a gun to my head, I could not change that tire. I might tell you, okay, the long thing with the thing is in the trunk and so's the spare tire. I'm going to call CAA. Now, the girl I'm with, she thinks that's funny because I can't change it. I can't. Call my parents. Well, we're going to be coming in 10 minutes. Call CAA. Guy pulls over. Right in front of me. Pulls right over in front of me. Everything okay? I said, flat tire. He goes, can you change it? I said, I'm a little embarrassed to say I can't. He said, 1 minute. Jumps out. Him and his buddy jump out. Change the tire. I guarantee you 5 minutes flat, they're changed. Now, the young lady that's with me is from Quebec. Nice people. Maybe not the most friendly sometimes, but nice people. She can't believe what's happening. Cannot believe what's happening. Get everything put away. Thanks, guys. How much? Don't worry about it. They wouldn't have taken a nickel. And I was 20. I don't know if I had a nickel to pay them anyway. Go into the Tim Hortons. At least I saw them pull into Tim Hortons. I go in after them and I paid for their coffee. Right? She's dumbfounded that two human beings that didn't know us pulled over and changed the tire on the side of the road for us. But that's how we are from the Maritimes. That's how a lot of people. I don't mean to say that other people aren't, but that's what I love about Ohio. Just that, Alan. And here's Alan. I know him, but I don't know him. Great guy. We talk all the time on the phone. Invites me into his house to stay at his house while him and his wife go away. I mean, sure, maybe I would do that too, but it's just, the people down here they're just very, very nice people, and maybe it's just the atmosphere in itself. And I think, in Ontario, it's not that people aren't nice, it's just everybody's always in a rush to go everywhere, right? We're always busy working, and you don't get that wholesome feeling all the time. You do in some places, but not. I live in Guelph, where the people are nice people, but still a lot of hustle and bustle. You're close to Toronto. It's like this magnet. And the closer you get to it, the more people are scurrying around, and you don't get that small town feel, right? You do in our business in horse racing, but not necessarily in towns. It seems like this entire state, people just take the time, right? It's just nice to be in. So, happy to be here. Obviously, I'm a little disappointed again in my family here. That's new for me, and it's a weird feeling. You know, I can talk to them on the phone, we Skype and whatever, but it's a weird feeling not having my kids and Amy here. And I was hoping we could spend the latter part of the summer down here, but you know, you listen to experts, you're saying no vaccine, no border. You know, they're not going to open up. They're going to keep pushing it. You know, I know some politicians, but not on the federal side, and even if I did, I just don't think there's any passes, waivers to be given out. I know that there was a caveat on the border closure saying, you know, people that transport goods and services are exempt if they, you know, they're diligent with their, virtually saying you're working, you understand that you can't work, if you're sick, you're diligent, you take your temperature, you make sure that you're healthy. If you're not healthy, you get a blood test, those types of things. Because let's be honest, and this isn't a dig on the United States, but when they opened up all those places, all the people that are in the hospitals right now, for the most part, 18 to 35. People that think they're invincible, people that didn't want to wear masks, people that maybe were in some riots. I'm not allowed to talk about those. People that might have been in some riots, and now it's spreading like wildfire again. They're doing more testing, but they say a lot of people in the hospitals are younger people. Got to be diligent. So if everybody's a child at heart, and a vast portion of the population can't be trusted to self-regulate themselves, and I guess I can't blame them for not opening up the border. So it puts me in a tough spot, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world. It's not like I'm stuck in Thailand or Vietnam or, you know, I mean, not that those are bad places, I'm sorry. But I'm close to home, and if I have to go home, I can. I just have to stay home for 14 days. So we'll see how that plays out over the next couple of months. I'm here focused on work. You know, I have a job though. I love my family to death. My family is everything. But Amy knows, you know, how tough is Amy? Make sure that the horses are taken care of. Make sure that she takes care of the problems at the barns. Oh, by the way, could you raise those 3 children while Anthony's down here working in Ohio? You know, house sitting for Alan right now. So there's a lot of work on both sides of the fence, both Amy and I, when it comes to the stable. But you know, we're in this for the long haul, and we take it very seriously. There wasn't an ounce of hesitation in Amy's voice when I said, "Geez, honey, you know, you can't get into the States," and she, zero hesitation. I'll go down and get everything under control, and you know, we'll work it out when we work it out. So she's obviously just as dedicated as I am to making sure this runs through. Not that there's no problems in Ontario. There is. We can't get our goddamn horses in. Poor Felix that chews our horses, owns Just For Me and You. You may be a partner of his. This filly has been entered for 2 weeks straight and can't get in to go. Somebody said, "Where's Timel Houdini?" I can tell you where he is, on the bench. Can't get in to go. Oh, why don't we race him in the Nomers at 50? Why would I? He fits the Nomers at 2 or 20 at Mohawk. So there's a problem. There's 2 that fit the Nomers at 2. We're going to have to move early. We're going to have to move some of the other Pennsylvania horses to make room. You know? Path of Totality. First truck out of there. She's not going to get in this week. She hasn't raced in 3 weeks. Last time she was supposed to race was a scratch. I even called Angie. Said, "Angie, we are West 52nd. Can't get him in." The Open goes for 10.5 in Illinois. They went in 55 the other day. Hey, could you see if he fits a class out there? I know he fits an Elmer's of 4 in Ohio. The Open goes for like 18 at Scioto. West 52nd, a couple of powerful lines in his card, and he's right into the Open at Scioto. So between Illinois or Ohio, West 52nd's probably going to move somewhere. Can you blame me? You know, I stuck up for him trotting in 53, home finished 5th, 6th, but trotting home at the end of it. Now it's not so funny. We're going on 3 or 4 starts with not a lot of money with this horse. What are we going to do? Even Maintenance Man, we're trying to find a class for him out in Illinois. He's made $580 in his last 4 starts. I'm not the guy that bases anything on return on investment, but love of God, there has to be a line drawn somewhere. So that's where we're at. We're trying to get our horses in Ontario, trying to get our horses in everywhere. Having to move horses to Pennsylvania. Tim's stable, right now. Forged and Fire, I'll Play It Alone, Stonebridge Simba, Sunshine's Finest, who's Harness AM, Path of Totality's on the way. Just For Me and You is going to be on the way. Beach Boutique might be on the way. Sebastian Yu might be on the way. So, I mean, we just... It's not just the stress of racing. It's a stress of being able to race. So we have to move all the horses around. This is a pretty big chessboard. And it's pretty tough to move the horses around. Because you're not going to make... I can't send them to Pennsylvania and say, "I'm wrong. Move them somewhere else. Oh, no, move them over here." You can't do that. And this is why it was so important that White Tiger wasn't ready until now, so I could look around. You know, take a look around now. We got a good look at everything. White Tiger's going to be ready. Cabell Hanover's going to be ready. Oh, so Pine's 2-3 weeks away. Cruising in Style, knocking on the doorstep. He'll be into qualified this week or next week. Yes, begins training at the end of the month. This was all by design. And it's important that we did it this way. If we had those horses ready 3 weeks ago, that would be the ultimate shit show of all shit shows right now. No one would be into race anywhere. They'd have White Tiger in the Open, probably in Toronto. It would be a mess. And for those of you saying, oh, will he be okay? Oh, yeah? Take a look at Bob McIntosh's good mare. She got run over twice now because they raced her in the Open. It's not Bob's fault. She's great. Take the Cash filly. Luke Blaze horse. I mean, there's no easy racing right now, and you need every foot, every length, every inch, everything counts. And we need to have the horses in the right place. Stonebridge Simba took us a little bit. We found a spot for him. Now he's good. Everybody can see that horse is going to go up through the classes now. Where his ceiling is, I have no idea. Should be good again on Tuesday or whenever the hell he's racing. Monday. You know, look at horses like Rooney Blue Chip. Somebody said I raced terrible the other night. How could he race good? He hadn't raced in 3 weeks. He had the 8-hole again. If they weren't sick, they were drawing 8 all week. The fact that we had no suicides in the stable.ca was a fantastic stat last month. Every horse, 8, 8, 8. All our 2-year-olds, 8, 8, 8. Oh, they drew good. Oh, wait, the horse is sick. It's just, we did really good considering what we were up against. Poor Rooney, you know, hadn't raced in 3 weeks. I don't want to train him hard at the farm. We trained him over at Mohawk 3 days out. Trained him in 2.6, nice and light. Had the 8-hole, almost made a break at the half, come right up trotting, finished up his mile strong. 2 minutes and a fifth. Last half, 58-4, last quarter, and 30-1. Thought the horse raced good. Needs to put 2 or 3 of those together. For those of you out there thinking that he's just no good, isn't it a chance to go pull up his lines? Go look at that poor bastard schedule for the last 4 months between COVID-19 and not being able to race. He hasn't had any time jammed on top of one another. If you can't get in and race every week for at least some period of time, you can't put the proper muscle on that you need. Nothing you can do about that. What else is there? We got our brood mares bred, I believe, to the bank in my MVP. It's July now, so if they're not in full, they may have to skip a season, but we knew this last year, right? Hopefully, I'm going to reach out to Jeff and see if they're in full, but we knew that having them bred late June last year would mean later in June this year. At some point, we would have to miss a cycle with them and start back in March, right? That sets us up for the next 4 or 5 years for these mares. Then we have Real Heart. I dropped the ball again on that poor bugger, so Bob Burgess has been calling me, wants to know if we're gonna pull the trigger on this filly. This mare. I don't see why we wouldn't. You know, we have enough horses that are pretty good horses out of this mare. She comes with a full. Yeah, it's an Art Speak full, and I'm not a big fan of Art Speak, but it's a full. And when you look at this mare, it's not like we're big fans of everything else that's out of this mare. Trafalgar's a Dally. The other one, Blue Monk's an Up the Credit. She throws winners. So I guess Blue Monk hasn't won yet, but I think it's safe to say he will. So I think this week we'll pull the trigger on Real Heart. The shares are going to be up for $220 a share. I'm going to take 2 days. We should have at least a day or two at the start of the week. Reach out to people. I know a number of people said, please save me 5% of this filly, this mare. You get the foal with it, the Art Speak foal. And then she's booked back in to breed to McWicked, which I think is very exciting. So we have Real Heart, our 2 mares. That's an update on them. You know, when you look at Ohio the other night, I was tickled pink. I'm a lovely lady, and in case you missed it, you know, just go and count how many turns I was out with her, all 4. All the way around the first turn, I got her in going to the quarter pole. I wanted to get out moving before Aaron, but Aaron still got his way out in front of the grandstand. I was out in turn 2, out in turn 3, 3 wide down the backstretch, 3 wide around the turn, 4th beat, 3 lengths, 57-4, parked 2 and 3 wide the whole way with her. She raced her heart out. My Jazz, huge surprise from her. If I get to go to the right in the last turn, I win. I know I do. She finished 3rd, beat a length, and I had trouble getting her into the passing lane. No big deal there. Sorry, I'm a lovely lady was 4th. Miss Meringue, yeah, there were some breakers. She tried her 3rd quarter in 28 flat, 3 wide all the way around the last turn. Got tired, finished 3rd, tried a 31-1 on the end of it. Last half in 59-1, and raced well. Even if we drop her into the Buckeye for a couple of starts, I'm pretty sure Miss Meringue has proved to everybody she can go, in case you're wondering. What else do we have? GW Chrome, the only horse, he didn't let me down, but I could tell he was tired. He didn't want no more in the last turn. I think his knees are hurting him a little bit. We just need to take the next 2 weeks to manage him properly. We bought some supplements for him. We're going to buy some bran and bran mash him 2 or 3 times a day if we have to. Start to put some weight back on him, get his spirits up, maybe swim him a few times, show him a little different view, and I think that GW Chrome will come back, but he proved he can go. He hit his outside knee. You could see him running out, going into the first turn. He touched his outside knee and cut it. Still stayed at it because he's a trooper. You know, did a very, very good job. And then Mama knows best. If Ronnie had a little more, I don't want to say confidence because he obviously won with her. He didn't want to put her on the run. And the 2 horses that were leaving in there were tough. If he had to stuff them both, he's probably won too. If she finished third, 27-4 in the end of it, he drove her good. He drove her conservatively, but drove her well. She raced good, finished third. I was happy with everybody that night. And I was happy with Roy Hill. For anybody that's thinking of sending me a message saying Roy Hill was flat, you're wrong. I told you he would pace in 54 and a piece on a fast track. He paced 56-1 under 2 moves in the mud. He did as good as he could do. I was tickled pink with Roy Hill. Again, horse that we can slide into the Buckeye and probably do some damage with. Just a nice horse. He actually has shown both starts we raced him, how incredibly intelligent he is as a racehorse now. He learned a lot in the last 3 weeks, and I'm really excited to race him all summer long. So we talked about the sale of Lincoln Hanover. Talked about White Tiger, Cavill, Hanover, Oso Pine, Yes, Cruising in Style. Now, of those 5, 4 of them are pretty well ready to go. Yes isn't going to be ready to go, obviously, till later on, but he starts training back at the end of the month and looks fantastic. Talked about how nice it is here. Talked about the frustrations of not being able to get our horses in Ontario on a full-time basis, but that's not just us, that's everybody. It's just tough right now. It's tough to get in right now. We're going to have to muscle through it. And then, of course, we talked about a little bit of an update on the brood mares for you and a new addition we're going to be working on this week. Her name is Real Heart. She is the mother of Blue Monk and Trafalgar. The other filly we had was by Sports Writer, and she comes with an Art Speak baby. So we got Real Heart for $220 a share, comes with an Art Speak baby, and she is going to be bred back, or is bred back to McWicken. I'm going to look for an update on Bob. Be nice if we had an update. She was in full. I wish I could bring you that information here in my car/office in Ohio, but I can't do that. But I will. I will get an update for you. So that's where you're at right now. We still got a lot to talk about. I updated all the stable lists. Everything's updated. Lots of horses moving around. Lots of horses to talk about. We'll get back to it in just a minute.